So how does Daryl Dixon get to France? So the last time we see Daryl in the main show of The Walking Dead, he is kind of riding off into the sunset to go check out the frontier, or at least we are kind of led to assume that because the conversation he had with Connie. And also Daryl brings up to Judith, he's going to be looking for Michonne and Rick while he's out and about. And let's be honest, that's probably the main motivation why he's going out and about, right, is to find Rick and Michonne and bring them home. And this what leads to the biggest question of the Daryl Dixon spinoff as of right now is how does he get to France? It's not like he can just jump on an airplane and fly over there, like we could today in normal society. So a few options how Daryl could get there is one, a plane. Somehow some type of plane can get him there. Or we have a boat. Now what type of boat could get across the Atlantic in the apocalypse? Who knows? Maybe like a big cargo boat, maybe a smaller boat, maybe an old pirate ship they find in a museum. Who knows? But as of right now, the only organizations that we could possibly know that could get Daryl there is the CRM, because as far as we saw within the show, the mainline show, I should say, the Commonwealth did not have that much pull. They obviously were a well-to-do community, but they didn't have huge resources like we've seen the CRM with, like helicopters, potentially planes, boats, stuff like that. But maybe the Commonwealth would end up having like a ship liner to take him to Europe. But I'm assuming that the vast majority of Walking Dead fans are assuming that the CRM is involved somehow and that they probably kidnap Daryl and take him to France for some reason or another. I believe if you read the synopsis of the Daryl Dixon spinoff right now, he gets kidnapped against his will and taken there. So who would want to do that to Daryl? Is it someone that he meets out on the road? Is it the CRM? Or it could be a group that we don't know about at all. Maybe it's the New York people that Maggie and Negan run into. Like, we really don't know. And also another thing we also don't know, when is this show taking place within the timeline of the Walking Dead universe? Is this show like right after the Walking Dead finale? Is it 5 years after the finale? Is it 8 years after the finale? Is it only 2 years after the finale? So we really don't know in the timeline of the Walking Dead universe where and when this is taking place. It wouldn't shock me if they made this show say like 5 years into the future of the Walking Dead universe. That way, if they wanted to kind of fudge it where they have Rick and Michonne get a happily ever after, where they show up at the Commonwealth at the end of that show and Daryl could be there for a reunion. And then they could say like, oh yeah, Daryl went on the Paris adventure after Rick got home. I think that would even bother people a little bit too, because we just want everyone to be safe and alive and at the Commonwealth or Alexandria at this point, right? Like all of our favorite characters that are still alive, we just want them to just ride off into the sunset and just live, right? I think we all are at that point. So it'd be interesting where they kind of make this Daryl show be in the timeline. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of fudged it, like 3 to 5 years from now, but then the Rick show ends with a reunion of all of his people and of course Daryl, where maybe that's only like 6 months to a year after the finale of The Walking Dead, something like that. They can kind of fudge it however they want. Or they could just make the timeline of the Daryl Dixon show literally right after the Walking Dead finale. He goes off on the adventure, finds a way to make it home, and then the Rick and Michonne show end like when Daryl gets there, within a few months or what have you. Then it's all a big one happy family, one happy ending, happily ever after, what have you. But I think that's the hardest thing people are kind of grasping right now is how does Daryl actually get to France? I mean, we really just don't know how that's even feasible. It's one thing to get across the country in the apocalypse this far in, let alone get across the Atlantic Ocean. I really don't know. We've seen the CRM have helicopters, which okay, but a helicopter's not going to get you across an ocean. I guess you would have to assume that they're going to have planes still, planes that can actually go from the east coast of the United States to the west coast of Europe. I don't know my European geography that well. I really am curious how this is all going to go down. Or again, the other option is a boat, but then if Daryl kind of gets captured and thrown on a boat, I know you can't really escape off of a boat because it's just ocean around you. That's a whole like potential storyline, I guess, that could be going on, is him on a boat for, I don't know, what is it, like 3 months, 4 months across the Atlantic Ocean for him to get to Europe and then finally get to France. Like Daryl would fight back eventually, right? Like something would have to go down somewhere in there, but I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe they have him drugged the whole time or something like that. I really don't know. Are they going to cheap out and just do like Daryl's just riding in the woods somewhere to start the show and then he gets knocked out all of a sudden and then he just like blinks 3 times from like a first person point of view, wakes up and he's in France and that's how it happens? I wouldn't be shocked if they did that, but what a cheap way to do that, right? I mean, that is just like masking the whole adventure part of like, how the heck did he get here? We'll see what they end up doing. I really, truly don't know, but I think it has to be one of those, right? It has to be a plane that the CRM has, or I guess any bad group that has a lot of pull, or a boat of some sort, right? That can get him to Europe. But again, I just would have a hard time thinking that Daryl wouldn't fight back on a boat, because it would take months to get from the East Coast to Europe, where a plane would only have to be a few hours, and maybe they sedate him, and then that's why he doesn't wake up, and then he wakes up, of course, in France. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this show, honestly. I truly don't. I'm sure there'll be some interesting moments, because Daryl Dixon in France sounds pretty funny, right? A lot of fish out of water things going on there. But beyond that, like, what is this going to do for his character? What is this going to do for the Walking Dead universe? I don't know. I really don't. You know, I'm not the most excited about this one. Honestly, too, I'm not that excited about the Maggie and Negan one. I am the most excited for the Rick and Michonne one. That has the highest expectations, but also it probably could flop the hardest too. But we'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if the Daryl show is just kind of more of the same that we know, if just Daryl's on an adventure, just with French people this time. And I know that they can have like the running zombies and such, which, whatever. I don't even want to get in that right now. I'm not really the biggest fan of that, but it is what it is. I'm sure they'll make that a point. They'll have like a nice reaction of Daryl seeing a running zombie and he'll have some funny line or something. I don't know. But further than that, I don't really know what the show is going to pertain, but how he gets there is my biggest question I want kind of answered right now. So that's where I'm going to leave this video for now. Make sure to comment down below. How do you think Daryl's going to get to France? Is he going to take a boat, a plane, a helicopter, even though I don't think that's feasible? Is he just going to teleport there like Star Trek? Who knows? So let me know down in the comment section below. And while you're down there, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. Until next time, guys, everyone have a great day. Thanks for watching.